Good. Firstly, how are you? And thanks for joining us on this Sunday. Hope you're keeping well. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, I'm great. Excited to be here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Listen, just real quick, we just, as you know, you've obviously been kind of a little unfortunate in terms of where you are, and we don't want to dwell on it. It's not the point of this conversation. We more so want to check in with you and everything else, non-rugby as such. So you wouldn't mind maybe just a little quick update in terms of where you are physically and mentally, obviously, and how you're feeling?
Yeah, feeling better. I was in Irish camp for a few weeks, and then I had a small neck injury, and they decided that it'd be best if I went back to Leinster to kind of rehab and get that sorted. And then in the midst of that, I ended up tearing my calf doing some of the running to get back fit. So I'm kind of just, my neck problem settled down, and now I'm just fixing the calf problem. So hoping to be back in another 2 weeks or so. So it's been an unfortunate few weeks. Injury-wise, an unfortunate year really injury-wise, but I'm hoping that this is kind of the last of it now. Bad things come in threes, so that's enough.
That's it, absolutely. Yeah, well, look, good to hear. And look, obviously, I suppose it's kind of hit us in terms of a country kind of strangely, going back into lockdown again. So, I mean, obviously, you would be doing a bit of physio and stuff like that, but outside of physio, kind of TVs, books, relaxation, what are you kind of doing? What does kind of Jack Conan do to try and, shift away from all this stuff?
Yeah, well, I recently got a dog about 2-3 months ago, so he has been dragging me around the Dublin Mountains and around Carrick Mines the last few weeks. So he's been great source of entertainment for myself and my girlfriend here. So that's been great. A lot of sea swimming when I can. Try to get out to the sea a lot. Something I've always enjoyed. A lot of cooking. Do a lot of cooking. Do all the cooking in my house, so I'm kind of the boss when it comes to that.
I'm presuming now she's not in the room now when you're actually saying this. Cause...
No, she'd admitted, to be fair to her now as well. Like, she knows who wears the chef's hat in this house. Yeah. So during lockdown, I was I'm still studying away, so I was doing a bit of that, and I had some exams coming up. So it was a good time to kind of turn the light on the studies a little bit and kind of focus on my extracurriculars, something that I'm probably guilty of neglecting from time to time when you're in the depths of the season and you're training the whole time and playing matches. So it was
absolutely nice. Yeah. And I suppose, kind of if anyone is trying to do, extracurricular study on top of anything, whether it's a sport or a day job or anything, even evening courses or something, it always kind of gets pushed to the background, unfortunately. So it was probably a nice little shift just to focus and kind of, come back into your studies as such,
Yeah, no, I wasn't the most diligent soul in the world, and I've got very long fingers, so I'm incredibly good at procrastinating at times. So I probably didn't get as much done as I would have liked, but I did a little, and it kept me taking over. So it kept the mind engaged for a few months anyway.
Good stuff. Come here, if you don't mind. You've had quite an interesting kind of upbringing in terms of sport, because you we were obviously talking to Tig there during the week, and he would have started and played all his way up, whereas you were actually kind of quite late into rugby in a way. Now I know it's a big part of St. Gerard's, but they do have a lot of sports there. But GAA was kind of the main focus for you for a lot of years. Is that right?
Absolutely. Even up till when I was about 15 or 16, it still would have been kind of my first passion, and I definitely would have preferred it to rugby. Even at that later stage, I used to play out in Kilmac in Wicklow. So the primary school I went to was just big into Gaelic, and then all my friends would have played for the club, and my older brother still plays there. So there's big connections with my family at Kilmac Gaelic Club, and I've kind of said in the past that whenever I hang up the boots, I'll hopefully try and go back and play a little bit. I'm not sure how well I'd fare at this stage. It's probably a while since I've kicked a few points, but it's definitely something I'd like to go back to afterwards. And it wasn't until I went into St. Gerard's, as you mentioned, at 13 and started playing rugby, and I didn't take to it very quickly. It was a bit of a slow burner for me, but I got there eventually.
Yeah, and I think just actually reading up on that, you were actually kind of passed around a couple of positions as well, really. I think at one stage you were saying you were actually in the front row. Is that right? Which, for yourself, at 6'4", is quite a front row player.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't have been at that height at that stage, but when I was 13, I probably was a bit more squat and a bit more round. So I was pushed into the front row with no real ball skills, didn't know how to pass or like that. So I got shoved into tight head, and I can't say I enjoyed it too much. So a lot of respect for the lads who do it full time. I couldn't hack it for too long at all. Like, it was nasty business.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, like, and I mean, as you say, like, some of the players who have been in that position, to hit, 50, 60, international caps, and some of them hitting over 100. It's just phenomenal in that position,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so attritional. Even I look back at it now, and the few scrums that I was in, I'm sure the pressure wouldn't have been too much compared to what the lads do. But the longevity of playing in there is not something people would look forward to, I'd imagine. So fair play to the lads for being able to stick at it for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just mentioned there about obviously a return to open GAA is potentially on the cards. Would you kind of see that ever moving towards a more pro sport? Would you like to see it move towards a more pro sport in comparison to where it is, or do you think it's fair where it is?
Yeah, I think so. I think the levels of dedication and the love for Gaelic football and hurling around the country really is incredible. And even, the time and the effort that goes into it. And as I mentioned, my brother still plays there, and, the dedication, the hours they put into it, Monday to Friday and on the weekends is, I think if that passion could translate so well into a professional game. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of logistical things that would need to be worked out about it, but I definitely think it's something that the country would get behind, and there's a lot of players out there. It's the least they deserve at this stage.
Yeah, because I think, as you were saying, I mean, you obviously mentioned how your brother is still doing it, but if you hear of like other stories, like Michael Murphy traveling back up to Donegal, and like there was actually up until a few months back, Carl Connell, the Monaghan GAA footballer, he actually lived across the road from me here. And I'd see him like coming home at various times in the evening and then going off in the car. And he's like, where's he going? And he was obviously heading back up to training. So, I mean, it's just the love, as you say, that they have for the game is just phenomenal.
Oh, it's unbelievable. A few years ago, there was a physio in Leinster Rugby, David Breen, who was the former Limerick hurling captain. Now, he's since moved on to work in Wasps and obviously had to quit. But he used to go up and down 2-3 times a week. And obviously he was captain, so his commitment to the club would be more than others, and I suppose the demands of being captain as well. So it always amazed me, his level of dedication to be able to do that, train 2-3 times a week, be in the gym, play games, and then, the physios, to be fair to them, they work seriously long hours and there's not a lot of downtime. You're working weekends, even days off when the lads aren't in, they have to be in looking after people. And so, it's a huge commitment.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of that, speaking of commitment and seeing players coming up, I just wanted to maybe brush on slightly the kind of the changing of the guard as such in terms of captains. So, I mean, two examples across both codes of recently would have been James Ryan stepping up yesterday to the Ireland team, and then David Clifford then on the Kerry team, just as an example in terms of young captains. I mean, kind of how do you see that then in terms of, do you kind of see it as a good thing that young players have been allowed to develop into captaincies, and how do you kind of feel then that the older guard as such would take to a younger captain?
I think it takes a certain character to be captain. I look at James Ryan, and he's someone who's so well respected, even in the older ranks and in the younger ranks. Everyone, he speaks in meetings, everyone listens, everyone stops what they're doing, and pays him the respects that he deserves. I know in Leinster Rugby there's a massive onus on being yourself and sharing your opinion. And I think of years over doing that for the likes of James Ryan, he's gained everyone's trust and respect. And to see him yesterday, obviously I'm sure he wouldn't be too happy with the end result, but in his typical fashion, I thought he was working really hard. And, he was unlucky to give away a few penalties, but in my eyes, he's a fantastic player and someone who's going to go on and captain Ireland a lot more times than just yesterday. And he still has a massive future for someone who's already achieved so much at 24 years of age.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I kind of, on that, kind of young captains, young players, I'm sure, you're probably looking at the Autumn Nations Cup when you can, outside of cooking and all that, because that's obviously important. But are you impressed that a lot of the coaches have decided almost in a way to throw caution to the wind? They've been basically given an extra 4 games in what has been a crazy year to bring in younger players. Like, I mean, if you look at France, for example, average age of 25. Wales yesterday had 2 games of 20. we're obviously breeding in young players. You know, do you kind of see this as the right time? If it was you, hypothetically, because, you know, we don't want the Daily Mail tomorrow saying Jack Conan has said whatever, but hypothetically, if it was you, would you be looking at in the same scenario in terms of getting players in now?
Absolutely. I think, again, something that Stuart Lancaster speaks about in Leinster is that you need to make a change before a change is needed. So to kind of blood those young lads and give them the experience. So in 3 years' time, when it rolls around to a World Cup, you're not just giving lads, you know, a lot of lads first caps or second caps or, you know, a chance to play in big games over in Twickenham for the first time. You want your players to experience these high pressure situations before, so they can go out and achieve on the day and perform. And I think Faz has done great to give those lads their shots. You know, a few of them getting their first starts and their first caps, and obviously even then the likes of Lowy and stuff who's coming in, and obviously he's not as young as the rest of the lads, but getting his first experience in the green jersey, getting his first start. And I think it's really important to let those lads stack up those moments, and they'll be better for it. You know, I think Hugo Keenan has been absolutely fantastic the last few weeks. I was disappointed to see him coming off yesterday because I thought he was brilliant in D, and even in attack when he got the ball, he was one of the few players that showed good spark. So I think it's brilliant to see that. It shows you that if you're playing well, regardless of what age you are, you're going to give them these opportunities. And, you know, Matt O'Connor, who used to coach Leinster, always used to say, you know, the more you take these opportunities, the more they're going to arise. So, and I think that's going to be something that we're going to see hugely in the coming years, and especially in, hopefully, this next Six Nations that coming up, that those young lads who've got the shot to play and gone well will get another opportunity to back up what they've done the last few weeks.
Absolutely. And I mean, I completely agree with you in terms of Hugo Keenan. I thought every single ball that was kicked to him yesterday, it was almost, I'm surprised England actually kept kicking to him, to be perfectly honest with you, because he caught absolutely everything that went to him. You know, there was nothing that was almost getting past him. And like, as you say, when I saw him coming off yesterday, look, I was disappointed, but, you know, it's the manager's call on it. But absolutely agree. I mean, I think for the occasion of what is Twickenham, it certainly didn't faze him.
No, and that's so indicative of what Hugo's like. He's a calm lad, and he doesn't get too excited, or he doesn't get too nervous about anything. There's always a bit of an even keel with him. You know, even in the last few months, all those massive games he played in, you know, Saracens, obviously in the Viva a few months ago, which we were unfortunate to lose. I thought he was fantastic and just so assured of himself, and he has that kind of confidence ingrained in him that he's able to just go out and do his job over and over again to such a high quality. And I think he's someone who's going to have a massive future ahead of him a lot of days in green. Yeah,
the reason I was going to ask on the young players is that, you know, I noticed that with the other coach and the other team, you know, we were playing yesterday, he doesn't seem to be given the same opportunities to those players, to younger players. I mean, I was looking at, you know, 8, 9, 10, for example. You're looking at 28, 29 and 31. Mm-hmm. And you're giving those guys 50, 60 minutes game time. I'm just kind of wondering, like, is it a mentality, like, where does the mentality between a manager who just wants to go out and win, whereas a manager who wants to take a step back and look to build? No, I mean, look, he's a fantastic tactician, if you know, if that's the word for him, but I'm just wondering, like, why wouldn't you use the same opportunity?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think you have to get the balance right of experience and youth, and you need, especially in those, the kind of the spine of the team, your hooker, your 8, your 9, your 10, and kind of your fullback, in my eyes. Those lads are going to control the game, the tempo of the game. You want probably that bit more experience, so it probably adds a lot of value to have those guys in there with that bit more caps and a bit older. But in saying that, with this kind of Autumn Nations Cup, when, you know, they're all kind of friendly games, it is a good opportunity to give lads shots. So maybe going forward, England will change it up a little bit more. They've got such talent and depth in every position. Obviously, the last few, Georgia, they gave lads new caps, and the weeks previously in the Six Nations. I wouldn't be surprised if they change it up again going forward.
Yeah. Perfect. Obviously, let's switch our focus back to this evening. So just looking at your clock there, if it's right, about an hour to go then to kick off this evening. So obviously the lads have done fantastic, pretty much carrying on this season, thankfully, touch wood, from last season. So what have your thoughts been so far? I mean, we asked Tig during the week, and, you know, Hugh O'Sullivan there about 2 weeks ago was the 47th player to be used in this campaign to date. So again, it's fantastic for Leo. So kind of, how do you see it? Obviously, thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. And I think, I remember when I first came into the academy and the senior setup were nearly two different identities, two different kind of programs, where now everyone kind of trains together as much as possible, to the point where once there isn't too many people on the pitch standing around not actually training. So it means then when lads go away to Irish camp, when lads go away to other games, the younger lads have been exposed to high quality training, they've been exposed to the systems. So when people are away, they can step in nearly seamlessly because they know what they're doing. They know what the systems are. They're comfortable in the systems. And then it's just about fine tuning, getting some of the new details, some of the plays right for that week. And then they're nearly not worrying about, what needs to be done. They're just worrying about their own jobs. They're not worried about, the attacking systems or defensive systems, because it's all second nature to them because they've been exposed to it for months. So I think there's a huge testament to the coaching staff for the way they train and the way they bring everyone together. In meetings at the moment, there's 50, 60 people. It's absolutely everyone in the building sitting in, learning from each other, going forward and trying to get better. The lads have been absolutely fantastic the last 2 weeks. The performances they've put together in the RDS and away have been incredible, scoring 30, 40, 50 odd points and being generally quite relentless as well, which is great to see, regardless of who we're playing, regardless of the score. We keep on going for 80 minutes, and they've put some fantastic performances out there. And I've no doubt in my mind that today is going to be the exact same. We every Monday when we come in, sometimes it feels like we've lost the game because we're always nitpicking on the small things we didn't get right and how we can get better for the week ahead. So, Stuart and Leo set a really, really high bar of excellence, and it's about just trying to get to that top performance every single week.
And yeah, so you're pretty much predicting then, kind of similar to Edinburgh then a few weeks back in terms of another performance this evening?
Absolutely. I haven't been fortunate to be out with the lads training in the last 2 weeks, but by all accounts, it's been a really good week's work, and everyone's well prepped. And I know, the likes of Dan Levy getting his first start back last week. He's so excited to get back in there again this week and play again. So expect another big game for him. And I think they'll go well today, and I can see nothing but a Leinster win.
Excellent, good stuff. Just two things then, Jack, and then we'll let you finish up. What's anything specific on the Christmas list? What are you looking for Santa Claus?
What I want? Geez, that's a good question. I actually don't know. It's not something I've given much thought to. Maybe another dog. Get a second dog. That'd be good. Keep the first one company. Stop them chewing things. Keep them quiet a bit more.
And then final question before we let you go. This didn't go down well with Tig, but as a chef now, this obviously should be something to you. Brussels sprouts, yes or no?
I'm actually a big fan of Brussels sprouts.
Really?
I love Brussels sprouts, yeah.
Now, as they are, or do you have to, I literally have to get them put in bacon and cream and everything else and shredded. Are you literally kind of a vicar of Dibley, just in your mouth and eat them all in one go?
And now, when I was growing up, my mum used to boil them and just boil them, and that was a tough ass as a kid. But as I've grown up, I've come around to them a little bit more. But for me, they need to be roasted at least to make them good. Roast Brussels sprouts is probably the best way you can have them in my eyes.
Nice. Okay, well, I won't be giving that a go, but in case any of the viewers want it, that's perfect. Thanks for that.
Exactly.
Listen, Jack, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Fingers crossed for you, getting back in the next 2 weeks, because, we're all dying to see you back. As you say, it's been an unfortunate kind of 3 injuries, but things come in 3. So, get this out of the way and back on the pitch, because, we're all just dying to see you back. So listen, from all of us, take care and thanks very much. And we'll see you back in the RDS as soon as we can.
Fantastic. Cheers, Alan. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Take care.